Hi Trung, thank you for joining us on Raw News Live today.
I appreciate it, Amanda.
So Trung, do you want to tell us about the situation where your organisation helped the workers in Malaysia?
Yes, all the foreign workers who come to work in Malaysia have their passports taken by the employers, and that's virtually bonds them to the employers, virtually imprisons them. And in fact, quite a lot of Vietnamese workers in Malaysia have been in prison because they will go out on the street without passports, without papers, and get caught by the police and thrown in prison. We have helped a few of them to be released. But in 2008, we had a big fight which helped about 20,000 foreign workers. We worked with a reporter from Channel 7 to do an undercover investigation of a Nike contract factory. And when it was then later broadcast on Channel 7, Nike immediately reacted as though they never knew. And they feigned surprises, and they said, oh well, they will immediately fix the problem. As a result, they required all of their contract factories in Malaysia to firstly return the passports to the workers. All the 20,000 foreign workers, of them about a few thousand are Vietnamese. So return their passports to them, improve their accommodation, which was really bad before, and give them back the money which they had paid to the job sharks back in Vietnam or Bangladesh, etc. Because before they left Vietnam or the other countries, they had paid several $1,000s to these so-called employment agencies, which they shouldn't have had to pay. So that money was returned to them. So all up, all those money multiplied by about 20,000 people, we reckon is worth around $50 million that we helped those workers with. So that's one thing. And the other thing was we've been helping Vietnamese workers in Malaysia, in particular in the state of Penang, where the textile, clothing, footwear union is pretty well organized. We have we have advocated and helped a lot of Vietnamese workers there to join the textile union in Penang, and we are continuing that work.
Oh, fantastic. What's the current situation of the 3 workers who were jailed before Christmas?
Yep. You know how in Australia unions have organisers who don't work at factories but go there to help workers and members there. Well, in Vietnam there's a so-called union, but that is actually an anti-union. It was formed with a specific purpose of making sure that workers can't get organised. So that union is a non-union, is an anti-union. So there's no organisers in factories now. So a number of people, labour activists that we work with in Vietnam, they work underground because as soon as they stand up, they get imprisoned. So these 3 people went to help the workers in that factory who were getting very low wages, well below living wage level. They were very upset. They wanted to organize a strike, but they didn't know how to. In a factory of 20,000 people, it's not easy to organize strikes. So these 3 people helped them to organize the strike back in January, and they were immediately. Then in February, they were caught by the secret police. One of them, a short girl, about 1.5 meter, quite short. When she was one of the 3. When she was arrested by the police, an eyewitness later told us that the police punched her in the face, and so she was bleeding. So that was quite not very nice. So they've been in prison since February, and then in October they were sentenced to up to 9 years. 2 was sentenced to 7 years and 1 to 9 years. So the ACTU has actually now raised its voice about it. On the 1st of December, the ACTU executive passed a resolution calling on the Vietnamese regime to release them, and also it said that it would send one of its representatives to Vietnam to visit the families of these people.
How are the families coping with the situation?
The families are understandably quite distressed. We are in contact with them, and they're in distress about many things. Firstly, about their husband, their children, their sisters being in prison. Secondly, they try to have ask for an appeal in the court, but they've been started in the sense that for them to be represented by a lawyer, the three have to sign a piece of paper saying, I nominate this lawyer to be my lawyer. But when the family come in to visit them, they've been allowed to visit a few times only in all those about nearly a year now. And every time the family was told by the police not to tell them about the name of the lawyer, and also they were not given pen and paper to write that. So basically, if they go to court in an appeal process, they would be unrepresented. So that the family is quite upset about that, and recently they have publicly written a complaint letter about that. And they also told me that their loved ones are quite have lost a lot of weight. Their spirits are still high, but they've lost a lot of weight. A guy who used to weigh about, he's about 1.7 meter tall, he weighed about nearly 70 kilograms. He would now be about 60 kilograms, quite a thin guy. Yeah.
And how can the trade union movement worldwide assist in other developing countries' trade unions?
As far as these three people are concerned, and any jail unionists in Vietnam later in the future or in other countries, I think the resolution of the ACTU showed a very practical action, and that is to have its representative visit the families and also seek to visit those in prison. That would be a strong signal to those in prison that the world hasn't forgotten you, and would be a strong signal to the family and other labor activists around the country who haven't been arrested yet, to know that the world cares about them and will support them if and when something bad happens to them.
And what can the people of Australia do to help these workers and their families?
The ACTU recently uses the front page of its website to invite Australian unionists to join an online campaign by Labour Start to call for the release of these people. Now the online campaign is now finished, but there's a very easy thing that they could do, and that is to join a Facebook group that is raising a voice about these three people.
We appreciate the time you've taken out of your day to join us today.
Thank you.